My name is Carl Dukes. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. Where we at now? New York? Well, long ways. I've been up here since 1965. During that course of time, I ran afoul with the law and ended up in prison for quite a number of years, like about 31 years in New York State. I came out in 2008. 2008 I came out. During that process of time, I started working at the Fortune Society. What I do at the Fortune Society is I respond to incarcerated persons all over the country. And the kinds of things that they ask for is they're looking for programs that are similar to the Fortune Society. And so what I do, I go online and find programs that in the area in which they're going to be released to, and I send that to them. They have to make the contact because they're the one that's asking. So I got a database like you wouldn't believe. This is a stack here. Just one of many. 'Cause we got a file cabinet in there with about, I don't know how many thousands of letters. I get approximately anywhere from 400 to 500 letters a month, and I'm always like maybe about 100 letters behind, because I probably answer about 300 during the course of a month. I need more help, or either more hours. I think they're trying to, because I got a database here with all this stuff in there, and I think they're trying to work up a way to somehow get funding for it. But when they get funding for it, I'm not going to do this full time. So I'll train somebody else to do it full time, and I'm not going to do it full time. I can't stand it full time no more. It's too late in the game to be dragging that much weight. A lot of times they're complaining, and instead of getting busy doing what they need to do, And so I tell them I understand the situation, like a lot of times you tell people that they say, what the hell do you know about my situation? He out there, I'm in here, And I may, refer to that, that I was there, and I understand what they're going through, because I personally have been in that position. Well, before I entered prison, right, I used to work drive truck, right, for American Beverage. I did that for maybe about 15, 20 years, making deliveries all over New York City. And not too much excitement, in terms of positive moves, I don't want to reveal some of the things, because I think the less dirt people know about you, the better off they see you, So we don't want to get into all the intricate parts of what I did actually do, besides driving truck, Clinton, Comstock, Attica, Auburn, Greenhaven, Fishkill, Otisville. I went to the board 3 times. On my third appearance before the parole board, I made parole. My institutional parole officer made contact with the parole officer that would be handling my case once I'm released. And she set up a 3/4. I didn't know what 3/4 houses were, And I said, well, okay, we'll try it, because I got to get out of here one way or the other. In the meantime, I was waiting on an operation for cervical surgery on my neck. This was the second operation I had, because the first one, the surgeon didn't put in any prosthesis in it to stabilize my neck. So my neck was collapsing. So I come out of the hospital and they want to put me right into the street. So when the doctor found out that it was ready to release me, he stopped my release. He says he can't go nowhere now, you know. And that's why it went from the middle of December to January the 8th. January the 22nd, 2008, I was released. When I got out, I had this address I was going to, the 3/4 house. When I got there, the guy, I had this brace on my neck, and the guy was looking at me. He was saying, well, you know, he was really beating around the bush. You know, in other words, giving me the ride, you know. And I'm saying, I asked him, I said, what's your name? He told me his name, so I pulled out my parole papers, because his name was on my parole papers. I said, that's your name there? He said, yeah. I said, so why are you bullshitting me? He said, well, let me call my boss. At that point, I got up, picked up my bag, and asked another guy, says, how far is the subway from here? He says, you go down 4 blocks and it should be right there. I said, all right. So, and the reason why I walked out, because I don't know who he's calling, and the thing that came to present to my mind, that they didn't want to be liable with me with that brace on my neck, and they're allowing me to enter their facility. So I ended up going to Bedford and Atlantic. So I got there about maybe 12:30, something like that. And the window that everybody was going to have to go through didn't open up to about 4 o'clock. So I'm standing in line. And while standing in line, right, it just reminded me that I'd been up since about 4:30 that morning. I'm standing in line, right, so I had bought a bag, sort of like a duffel bag that I had my property in. And I seen like one of the straps had come loose. So I bent over to put the strap on and almost fainted, right? I said, Lord, don't let me go out here. I said, because I go out here, I won't have no shoes, no money, no bag, no nothing. Because that was like the neighborhood it was in, you know. And as I know now, the stench smell of crack on these guys was like, you know, like crazy. I didn't know what no crack was, you know. So I waited, I got up to the line, and the lady says, next? I said, yeah. She said, what bed you in? I said, I'm here to get a bed. She said, you from Bellevue shelter? I said, no, I'm here to get a bed. She said, you got to go to Bellevue. So she gave me a paper. She said, here, show this to the man at the train station. They'll let you right through the stall free, right? I said, all right. So I come out and I'm walking across the street, and a guy sees me coming across the street. He raised his hand to give me like a high five, and he slid $2 in my hand. He said, "Good luck, brother." I guess he must have seen it. I mean, it just it's that look that, you know, he recognized it right away. You know, he said, this guy just got out of jail. You know, so I go down the subway. I give the guy the paper. He says, "Go on through." You swing me through. I take the train, get off somewhere near 30th Street and 2nd Avenue to go on over to Bellevue Shelter. And I get there, and there was another long wait, and another long wait. I didn't get into bed that night until about maybe that next morning, to maybe about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And they said, well, in the morning you got to get up, you got to get out of here, blah, blah, blah. You got to make sure that you take everything out. So now I got this brace on my neck, and I know I got to go to my parole officer, because you got within the first 24 hours of release, you have to report. I go down to parole, I report for parole, I leave the parole office, so I goes on out towards Island. I get out there, and they start looking and looking and looking, and they come back and say, "You're not in the system." I said, "What do you mean I'm not in the system?" I say, "Wait a minute." So I sit there, and the shift changed, and I'm still waiting. Now the shift changed, and they come back down again and says, "Okay, you go up. You got 260. You got 266." So I said, "All right." And at that time, I said, "I need a phone." I had a phone, but I didn't really know how to use it. You know, it was like dead weight in my pocket. A friend of mine, his wife, would call me on Wards Island every night to find out how I was doing. Because I know, like, I wasn't in no physical condition, because a lot of young rowdy guys out there, and they was, you know, taking advantage of people that they could, you know. So I said, well, first thing I got to do, I got to hire me some bodyguards. But they are not to know that they're my bodyguards. And that was funny though. That was funny. I befriended two guys, and they was like, "Oh, come on, Pop." You know, well, I don't let nobody call me Pop. What you, Pop? You had Bloods and Crips running around there, you know, taking people's phone, knocking guys out and stuff like that. From the 23rd of January until March 10th, when I came to the academy. Everything from there went right uphill, you know, right uphill. And
so you said that the bag was a mesh bag, right? Could you tell us a little bit about how your true story of the mesh bag turned into the plastic bag in the song?
Oh, the plastic bag is your idea. Well, most of the places or institutions that you had visited, the plastic bag was essential because that's what they gave out, you know. I said, but in New York, they don't give out plastic bags, you know. And I was sort of adamant that didn't want to give up my net bag, you know. But after we talked about it a few times, because this was in the process of putting together the song, right? Because when you asked me to sit down and write some of the things that had happened to me, I says, well, I don't have to do that. I already did it, you know, because I was keeping like a little diary. I had already written it down, so we looked at it, so we figured we'd restructure it and develop a song out of it. Yeah. And out of that, we switched from the net bag to the plastic bag, you know.
I always liked it because it was like a something disposable, and it was like a metaphor for the way we treat people getting out. You know?
Right.
Like he always says, they could throw me away.
Right, yeah.
So how did you start singing then?
Well, I was, you know, I'd be humming songs coming down the hallway here in the building, and John's office at that time was next door, and he heard me a couple of times, right? And he says, you should be part of the cafe. I said, get out of here. He said, no. He said, you sound good. I said, oh, come on now. Come on. I ain't got no boots on for all this. So he said, no, I'm serious. So he kept after me a few times, you know. And then I started listening to songs, you know, while I'm working, you know. Some Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Johnny Hartman, stuff like that, you know, Joe Williams. I listened, you know, to all those songs, right? And so I started trying to learn some of the songs, right? I know most of them, but like sometimes, you know, and I always have the words right there, just in case I get off track. I want to see where I'm at, you know. That's the reason why I carry the paper. And we started doing that about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Is being a professional musician something you're interested in?
Not necessarily, but it's something I like. You know, I like doing. You know, yeah, as a hobby, and if I could get paid for doing it, then I probably would love it.
Well, we're working on that. So you've had quite an interesting life. You started in Jacksonville, Florida. You were a truck driver for many years, which I didn't know. You did 31 years in prison. You came out in 2008. You've had lots of different experiences. I guess my final question for you is just, is there any words of wisdom or non-wisdom or anything you want to share just about your life experience, about Jim Crow, about being a musician, anything? Any final words?
Well, for as Jim Crow is concerned, right, my suggestion that particularly younger people should understand and read their history. You know, they should. That is key. That is a key element to their makeup. You know, and their way of seeing the world and how they react to the world and how the world reacts to them. You know, being able to understand and know their history.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh. Now let me sign out, 'cause I know it's my time is up.